Marcus Aurelius held immense authority. His power was unquestionable, yet he remained imperfect. Like many, he struggled with personal shortcomings, often drifting away from the ideals he sought to embody and the person he believed he could become. In a particularly revealing passage from Meditations, he chastises himself, referring to his own behavior as that of a mere animal or lower being, lamenting the depth of his fall. Yet he follows this with a profound observation. In just 7 days, one can rise to divine heights by returning to core beliefs, by recommitting to reason and philosophical discipline. This reflection captures a common experience, especially near the end of a year. When fatigue sets in, routines become mechanical, and individuals feel disconnected from their potential. But the encouraging message remains: it is always possible to start again. The path of virtue, wisdom, and inner alignment is never lost. It can be reclaimed at any moment. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that no one else can undertake this journey on another's behalf. His urging is clear: become your own guide while time remains. The beginning of a new year offers a natural and timely opportunity to do exactly that. To mark each new year, Seneca embraced a symbolic fresh start, one that tested his resolve. On January 1st, he'd plunge into the freezing Tiber River, the icy waters that coursed through Rome. Now, with January upon us again, what ritual are you creating for you? This video presents a selection of practices and insights drawn from Stoic tradition, practical tools designed to help begin the year with clarity, purpose, and strength. The aim is to support the cultivation of one's higher potential and to encourage alignment with the best version of oneself. One of the first things you must do is train your body with intention and discipline. You might not think philosophy concerns itself with physical effort, but it absolutely does. The Stoics were not passive thinkers. They hunted, grappled, lifted, and ran. They lived in motion. A sound mind in a sound body, as the old phrase goes. Many people set fitness goals for the new year. They want to feel stronger, healthier, and no one needs to convince them why that matters. But when you picture a philosopher, you probably envision a robed elder or a professor in glasses, not an athlete. Yet in antiquity, philosophers were fighters, hunters, wrestlers, and endurance athletes. They chose struggle. Socrates served in the military and was admired for braving the cold. Marcus Aurelius wrestled. Cleanthes boxed. Epictetus trained with weights. Seneca began each year with a cold plunge into the Tiber. But for the Stoics, this wasn't about ego or appearance. It wasn't vanity. Seneca explained that we discipline the body so it doesn't rebel against the mind. To them, physical training was a metaphor, a pathway to mental resilience. One of the surest ways to grow stronger mentally is by pushing your physical limits. The Stoics aim to develop the inner voice that says, "I can do hard things," that insists, "I'm in control." So when you define your goals this year, pick one that reinforces that message. I keep my word. I honor my commitments. I move through discomfort. You train the body and discover the truth about who you are and what you can become. Often, what you uncover is this: you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Starting the day with a physical challenge, such as a cold swim, a long-distance run, or a strenuous workout, can offer more than just health benefits. These moments of deliberate physical discomfort strengthen not only the body, but also the mind. When the instinct is to stop early, yet the decision is made to continue, that choice builds mental resilience. The discipline developed through physical exertion often carries over into the rest of the day, shaping how challenges are approached, how stress is managed, and how perseverance is sustained. Engaging in regular physical effort helps cultivate grit. It sharpens the capacity to endure, to overcome adversity, and to remain consistent in the face of resistance. Physical training becomes more than just exercise. It becomes a proving ground for personal strength. Through it, individuals build not only stronger bodies, but also deeper inner resolve, becoming more adaptable, stable, and capable of withstanding life's pressures. When discussing the military, one powerful reference often comes from meditations. Marcus Aurelius, after all, was not only an emperor, but also a commanding general who led armies and fought in wars. In one of the rare passages where he reflects on that experience, he likens life's purpose to a soldier scaling the wall of a fortress. If a soldier is wounded and needs a comrade's assistance to continue, then so be it. The phrase, "so what?" carries immense meaning. It's delivered with a shrug, as if to say, this is normal, not shameful, entirely expected. Whether it's seeking therapy, asking for advice, bringing someone into a project, or admitting confusion, it's all simply part of the path. When others ask for help, they are rarely judged. On the contrary, such requests are often met with honor and willingness. Yet, many hesitate to extend that same compassion to themselves. Those nearby are frequently ready to assist, waiting for the invitation. As Fred Rogers once said, anything that's human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. Asking for help is not weakness. It is an act of courage and strength. Challenges are inevitable. There will be moments of uncertainty and difficulty. The essential choice becomes whether to remain stuck or to reach out to someone with greater experience, someone who has already navigated similar terrain. That choice requires courage. Real growth rarely happens in isolation. Success is often the result of guidance and shared effort. Those further ahead may already hold the solution. After all, this is a collective mission, and those walking it together are not alone. Seek help, ask questions, accept support. A common resolution people make is to read more, 1 book, 10 books, maybe even 100. But Epictetus would challenge that. He wasn't impressed by sheer volume. He didn't care if someone read non-stop through the night. What mattered to him was the purpose behind the reading. What are you choosing to absorb? He believed the content was far more important than the count. Sure, reading beats wasting time on mindless videos or shallow content, but even then, if you're not intentional, you're still squandering precious hours. Seneca warned that many intelligent minds are ruined by an obsession with trivial facts. He valued reading deeply, but emphasized reading the timeless works of true thinkers. So, as you set your reading goals, don't just focus on quantity. Consider which books you need to revisit, which challenging texts deserve your attention, which ideas are worth wrestling with. It's not about impressing people with how many titles you log. It's about transformation. Curate what enters your mind. Ask yourself, can I apply this? What am I actually learning? Everyone's needs differ, interests, goals, struggles, but the aim should be the same: progress. Find content that changes you. Choose to spend your time wisely. Be deliberate. And remember, many books you start in 2026 won't be worth finishing. That's fine. Drop the ones that don't serve you. Focus on the ones that do. Only then will your reading habit lead to real growth. Here's one habit that can transform countless areas of your life, from family and work to health and emotional well-being. Simply step outside and go for a walk. Seneca recommended unhurried strolls in nature so that the mind could be refreshed by fresh air and steady breathing. Buddhist teachings speak of walking meditations, reminding us that meditation doesn't have to be seated. It can happen while moving through a forest, along the shore, or even in a car park. The setting isn't what matters, it's the act of moving. No, a walk won't fix every issue, but there are few problems that aren't at least made better by taking one. Henry David Thoreau, in his essay Walking, described it as a journey not just across land, but into the soul, saying he could not preserve his health and spirits unless he spent at least 4 hours a day sauntering through the woods and over the hills and fields. For him, walking was a sacred act of restoration and clarity. In fact, some philosophical schools revolved entirely around walking. The teacher would walk, and the students would walk beside him as they talked. The Stoics were no different. They moved, they acted, they engaged the world through motion. So make walking a priority. It's a simple, grounding habit that will elevate every part of your life this year. If there is one ability worth strengthening this year, one that can enhance every domain of life, it is the capacity for sustained concentration. In an age saturated with stimuli, true focus is becoming increasingly uncommon. Even Marcus Aurelius grappled with this challenge. He urged himself to focus intently, moment by moment, with the seriousness and purpose of a disciplined Roman. He emphasized approaching tasks with integrity, willingness, and care. The concept, often referred to as deep work, describes this state. Full immersion in the task at hand without distraction. It is the space where the highest levels of creativity, insight, and productivity emerge. Yet, in today's world, attention is constantly fragmented. Devices demand constant checking. Notifications disrupt thought. The mind drifts between dozens of concerns, leaving little energy for the present task. The ability to resist this drift is rare and powerful. One vivid example of this discipline comes from Seneca. Living in a noisy Roman apartment with both external chaos and internal turmoil, he deliberately trained his mind to block out the noise. He described learning to quiet his thoughts, to detach from the commotion around him, and to reclaim his inner stillness. He argued that peace outside is irrelevant if the mind is anchored within. This level of control does not appear spontaneously. It is developed over time through habits such as journaling, meditation, and deliberate routine. Seneca wrote that tranquility is proven when external sound cannot shake the self, when flattery, threats, or idle noise fail to disturb one's center. The aim is not perfection, but presence. By narrowing attention to what truly matters, it becomes possible to inhabit each moment fully and with purpose. "Show me someone who isn't a slave," Seneca once challenged. He didn't just mean those in chains. He was pointing to anyone controlled by desires. He said some are enslaved to lust, others to wealth or status or ambition. Many are bound by fear and hope. Stoicism is, at its core, about freeing yourself from those internal shackles. It's about recognizing your dependencies, your compulsions, and breaking their grip. Whether it's caffeine, cigarettes, constantly checking your phone, or refreshing email, anything you can't willingly step away from holds power over you. If you're not free to say no to it, then it dominates you. And often, it's not the habit itself that's dangerous. It's the neediness it creates. That dependency is the root of suffering. Some addictions need to be eliminated completely. Others you may return to later, but only if you're no longer controlled by them. What matters is regaining your freedom. If something is steering your life, even if society deems it normal, it must be addressed. You cannot lead a strong, intentional life while being ruled by a craving. So this year, make it a priority to reclaim control. Whatever is dominating you, cut its strings. Begin now. Don't wait to reclaim your freedom. The pursuit of perfection must be relinquished. The desire to achieve flawlessness often becomes the very obstacle to completion. Leonardo da Vinci, one of history's most celebrated artists and thinkers, was famously burdened by his own perfectionism. His notebooks are filled with unfinished inventions and ideas. Projects like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper were delayed repeatedly, not due to a lack of talent, but because of relentless self-criticism and dissatisfaction with the result. In some cases, he abandoned commissions altogether, unable to meet the impossible standards he had set for himself. This pattern is not uncommon among gifted individuals. The same internal pressure that drives excellence can become the source of paralysis. It is a well-known trap. Perfectionism masquerades as dedication, but in truth, it often conceals fear. As Winston Churchill once noted, perfectionism is simply another form of paralysis. It is not humility, it is avoidance disguised as discipline. The Stoics recognized this danger. While they never endorsed complacency, they warned against the illusion of perfection. Epictetus posed the question, is it possible to live free of error? The answer is no, but one can always aim to improve. This is the mindset worth cultivating. The refusal to finish due to fear of imperfection is a subtle form of cowardice. Completion requires courage. Progress requires release. This year, the discipline to finish, to move forward even when the work feels incomplete, should be embraced. Letting go of the need for flawlessness opens the door to momentum, refinement, and growth. As the Stoics taught, it is not about reaching some ideal state. It is about moving steadily toward betterment. Choose a word to serve as a guiding principle for 2026. Seneca once remarked that without a clear destination, no wind will be favorable. This timeless insight captures the essence of a simple yet powerful Stoic practice. Selecting a single word to define intention and direction for the year. A mental anchor for behavior and decision-making. Similar concepts exist across disciplines. In yoga, it is common to begin each session by setting an intention. In meditation, a mantra helps focus the mind. The Stoics referred to this idea as epithets for the self, short descriptors embodying personal virtues they aspired to uphold. Marcus Aurelius often used words such as upright, sincere, restrained, cooperative, and composed to guide his conduct. Choosing a word can bring clarity, especially during times of uncertainty or excess. For example, someone seeking greater patience may adopt that word as a reminder to slow down and trust the process. Others aiming to be more consistent may choose discipline. Those hoping to open themselves more to others might focus on generosity. After a year marked by exhaustion or hardship, a word like resilience may offer strength. In periods of transition or chaos, a word like stillness or simplicity can restore balance. Once selected, this word should be returned to often, written on a card, placed on a desk, made into a phone wallpaper, or repeated during journaling. The purpose is not to choose a word that merely sounds pleasant, but to define a principle, something clear, concise, and meaningful enough to shape daily actions. When moments of stress, distraction, or indecision arise, returning to that word can serve as a compass, consistently pointing back to one's higher self. Stop postponing what matters. Epictetus offered a pointed challenge. How much longer will excellence be delayed? In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reflects on the tendency to postpone the pursuit of virtue, even when one already knows what the right path looks like. Common justifications arise. I'll begin tomorrow, once things calm down, when the timing is better. But the Stoic answer is unwavering. Begin now. Seneca warned that procrastination is a universal fault of the unwise, constantly preparing but never acting. Waiting for the perfect time is a trap. Conditions, weather, mood, workload are rarely ideal. Progress requires immediate action. That is the Stoic approach. That is strength, the capacity to summon discipline and act without delay. The best moment to start was yesterday. The second best is now. Outcomes are often the delayed reflection of choices made long before. Results in the future depend on what is done in the present. Success, whether personal or professional, tends to follow those who invest consistently over time. A helpful frame is to ask, what actions today will compound into meaningful results tomorrow? What decisions now are laying the groundwork for future stability, growth, or excellence? Procrastination is the refusal to make that investment. It is the habit of deferral. To overcome it, build the habit of initiation. Embrace the practice of starting, imperfectly but immediately. Let begin now become a principle for the year. The foundation of all meaningful progress is timely action. Meaningful progress is often a delayed reflection of the actions taken today. If there is one essential habit to cultivate this year, it is this: begin without delay. Let this be the year where hesitation ends, where waiting, overplanning, and constant preparation give way to decisive movement. Take action, advance, execute. There is strength in urgency and transformation in immediacy. When action replaces postponement, momentum begins to build. Discipline follows. Identity aligns with purpose. The person one is capable of becoming does not emerge someday. It begins to take shape in the present. Now is the time.